at the field outside the stadium against Alta de Lisboa.
That's right.
One of our soccer school, and I was there for the match, but it was my only contact with the group back then.
Okay. Hello, Adolfo.
Hello, guys. How are you? Good afternoon.
Okay.
Hello, Adolfo.
Pleasure to have you on board. So are you at the stadium, you said?
Correct. Yeah, I'm here at the Wanda Metropolitana today.
Okay. Okay. So are you back working in the office, or are you still working remote?
50-50. Each department is trying to have a 60% of their people working at the stadium per day. So, for example, this week I came on Monday, today, coming back on Friday. Next week I'm coming Monday and Friday. So we're just alternating between the two of us.
Okay, very good. All right, and the league is back, so people are happier, I guess.
Correct. I'm happy. I'm also not just in charge of the international expansion of the club, but I also do the Women's Champions League, and I assist the first team with mostly everything I can. For example, I just finished a phone call with an agent. The fact that the Women's Champions League is back, it's great news. It's going to be played on the last week of August. There's still many things that is pending that we need to figure out, but the main important is we already have the venues, we already have the days. On Friday is going to be the draw to see if we're going to play on San Sebastian or Bilbao. So everything is moving forward on that side.
Very good, excellent. Okay, well, we're waiting for, I believe, Gary.
Gary, yes.
To come in. Unfortunately, lost Roma, and they've had Alex Saper had a problem, and he's not going to be with us today. So apologies to everyone for that, but we still have a pretty good group here. And and Francisco is with me here with representing Sports Event. Is helping out with, he's the broadcasting man, so he's helping out with and he's going to be coordinating this chat. Okay. So I don't know if Gary is online.
Yeah, I'm here, guys.
Hey,
hello
Gary. How are you doing?
Hi. Good, thanks. Good. Thanks for inviting us on. Sorry, the delay getting on, bit of technical issue, but got there in the end. So apologies for that.
How is the weather in Scotland? I hear in London it's pretty good.
Oh yeah, it's actually, believe it or not, it's beautiful here in Scotland too for a change. So very happy about that. Shorts and t-shirt on today, which is nice change.
Fantastic. Okay, so let's get on with this. And Francisco, do you want to kick off with
So hello to everybody, to our attendees and people who following in our YouTube channel. Today, our webinar from Sport Trends is about training with the pros. You will be understanding a bit about visiting programs from Athletic Madrid, from Rangers, from Seven Oaks, and from Sport Lisboa and Benfica. The experiences receiving clubs from outside, and them too visiting other clubs and to connect and experience the academy life and so on. So my first question goes to Adolfo. Good afternoon. I hope everything is good there in Spain, in Madrid. The first big question: how important are these international programs for your club, and how big they are for your international marketing strategy?
First, good afternoon, and thank you very much for having me here. It's not just my pleasure, from the Atletico Madrid pleasure to be present in such an event that can exposure not just our program, but other clubs, so we can work together. I hope you guys are also doing well, that your family is all safe and healthy. It's not an easy situation, but I think all together we're going to come stronger out of this. Regarding your question, these international programs are very important from the club. It's something that we can call is recently very new. We created the international department 4 years ago, and the idea was to expand the brand of Atletico Madrid and mainly the academy all over the world through sport programs. What we do is we do not sell sponsorship, we don't sell products. No, we do football programs abroad and in Madrid. For example, abroad, we do the summer camps, we do seminars, we have done tournaments, And then here in Madrid, we do development programs for teams and coaches. So for us, it's very important because allow us to expand the brand, allow us to increase our fan base, and allow us to give us the opportunity to many international players who have the desire to train with Atletico de Madrid. And it's not possible for them because maybe they live in Portugal, they live in the United States, they live in China. Coming to Madrid, they will live this unique experience because the international teams, either the teams of players or coaches, we treat them as one from the academy. Every time the teams come, they will be training with actual Atletico de Madrid coaches. We have one of the largest structure in Europe. We have over 82 teams. All of those teams with at least 4 coaches, 2-3 coaches, all with the minimum titulation that we require. So when the teams come, they have a personalized experience. For example, if we receive a U14 team, the coaches that we select from the academy are U14 coaches, so they will train especially with them. And the methodology that we follow with this international team is actually the same that we follow in the academy. The way I like to explain it, very simple, is, for example, if tomorrow my U4 team is going to train counter-attacks, for example, the international team is going to train counter-attacks. We don't differentiate in any of these. And the same with the coaches that we bring. When the international coaches decide to come to Madrid, they will learn from us. They will see us training. They will see direct presentation. They will talk with everybody who's allowed or present in the facilities. So the international expansion is very important for us because it allows us not just to give this opportunity to these people, but allows us to expand the brand to market that we're not able to reach. The way I always explain is the first team cannot be everywhere. But through these sport programs, through the academy, we can be not everywhere, but the most places that we can.
Well, Atletico Madrid has had some big success in the last couple of years as a senior club, from the Champions League to winning La Liga. Has this success created more awareness for the club, and to other teams come and attend your international academy programs?
Absolutely. The fact that the first team in the last 10 years, we have able to reach some Europa Leagues, that we have been reaching some final of the Champions League. If you see the coefficient of UEFA, we are number 2. The fact that the first team has reached this football level allow us to grow because that, as I said, it creates awareness. So people who in the past just barely knew Atletico de Madrid, now they follow what is Atletico de Madrid. Now they are a Cholo followers. So these allow us to grow. This, as I said, this success allows to create awareness, but the mainly or the most important is the work that we have done through these sport programs, such as the summer camps and such as the experience that what we call when the team comes. We have been able to reach over 30 countries. We have an average over 100 teams per year that comes to train with us. So this work that has been slowly, but we keep moving forward, is the best that allows us to grow. And not just the first team, because if you see the women's football is also growing very fast. Mm-hmm. On the last 3 seasons, our Atletico Madrid, we won the league. Unfortunately, this year we couldn't. Barcelona took the title, but it's, I think, the sum of all the variables accumulated that allow us to grow. The great work we have done in the international department, what the women's team are doing, and especially, as you mentioned, the success that we have been living through Simeone and the whole club, because just the fact of changing our logo or changing the new stadium, something that give you a new image, give you something that people's willing to come, want to see. Even for us here at the stadium, changing the office from the Calderón to Wanda, it's a new experience. We actually felt that we were working a new club. We, as I kind of joke and say, we entered the 21st century when we did all these changes.
Thank you. Talking about success and but in a youth level, Fernando, Benfica has been a perfect academy from the last couple of years, won several awards. How big was this to bring more teams to train with you and to learn about Benfica Academy and how you work and your working environment?
Yeah, it works the same way for us. But first of all, hello to everybody. It's a pleasure to be a part of these conversations. And for me personally and for Benfica, it's always terrific to share experience and to be able to talk with our peers. But I was saying, for us is the same. The awareness that it creates, it's very important. Even more for us, because not playing in one of the big five, the capability to show our brand really comes to this, to the participations in the Champions League or the UEFA competitions, and the buzz that is created when you do a transfer
Felix.
like Felix for Atletico, or when you have a player like Bernardo playing at City that started at our soccer schools. So believe it or not, Bernardo, when he started playing for the club, he paid a monthly fee. And then he did all the path inside the club till it is the player he is now. So for us, it's important to have the participation, to create this kind of awareness, like the soccer, the Global Soccer Awards. All of this makes people talk about the club. But at the end of the day, it is, as Adolfo was saying, is the work that we do. When you receive the group, if you are truthful to that group, if you give the group, the team, the lads, the coaches, whatever, a true Benfica experience, they are the ones that will be the better ambassadors that we can have. Their word of mouth about their experience with us will be at the end of the day, the best thing we can have.
Yeah, about that, you are almost saying there's a philosophy that Benfica wants to share a philosophy in training, in working. Has this philosophy has been passed down to the coaches that come to visit you while with their youth teams?
Yeah, of course. There are always, with us, it's the same thing. We always work with the staff that is the regular Benfica staff throughout the season. So we don't hire a coach to do a group. So the coaches that visit us will have the opportunity to be with the Benfica coaches. Either if it is a program for coach education or a team program. All the coaches that are with us always have the opportunity to speak with the coaches that are working with the kids, in the case of a program for teams, or if it is a specific program for coaches, they will be able to speak and to watch and to share with the coaches the real experience. So we are not going to show them a video of a practice. They will see the actual practice. And at the end of the practice, they will talk to the coach about the exercises that took place and the objectives they were pursuing with those exercises, or about the time of the season and relating the time of the season with the kind of work that is being made with the players. So all of that is for real. It's a true experience. So everybody that visits us has the opportunity, and this is true also for all the other stuff. If we are talking about nutrition, or if we are talking about psychology, depending on the interests that the groups that visit us have and what they ask from us, we can adjust to several departments of the club to be present, and they can always share those experiences and doubts and with our staff. And it's great because it's a learning process for us too, because by sharing there are always ideas and things that also come from the other side, from the guys that visit us. We are very good. Well, I think at least we believe we are very good, but we are very we have very present in our minds that we don't know everything. So it's a process. We are always looking for new things.
Thank you, Fernando. We'll be back to you after this. Gary, about Rangers, what is special about the international programs? Are you happy with them?
Yeah, first of all, thank you very much for inviting me on and your time. It's great to share content with you guys and your clients as well. But in terms of our services, we ultimately look to create a unique experience, but we tailor our services and activities based on the group's needs. So we look at it in 3 different areas. The coaches, I can go into a little bit of detail further down, but in terms of the players, we want to make it an authentic experience. We want to make it real. So ultimately that the kids, because when they come across from various parts of the world, that we want them to feel what's it like to be an academy player. So the kids, we have a fantastic training complex that the first team, Steven Gerrard and the academy are based at. The kids will get access during the course of their time at the club. They'll get to train there. They'll also get to, during that, with the coaches that they work with, will be with from the Boys and Girls Academy. So again, it's authentic. They're working with coaches that would, work with our academy kids, and again, getting that technical sessions that they would get at academy, and that will stretch and test the kids, depending on the opposition as well. If they're good enough, and we feel that it's a right match, then we'll also get the opportunity to potentially play at academy. But we also have good relationships with local clubs in Scotland too, that the kids again will be able to play. And that ultimately is what kids want to do. They want to play football, and they want to benchmark themselves and compare where they're at in their own development, which again is good. But also in terms of creating that unique experience, we try to get groups involved in as much match day experience as possible. So we've had a number of groups who have featured on the pitch at Ibrox at half time. So in front of 50,000 supporters, to get on the pitch at half time and play in that environment. I mean, I'm jealous. I want to get involved and do that. So for the kids, we want to give them that experience, to ultimately motivate them and think, you know what, this is something that I would like to do in future. And no matter what they do, whether further down the line they might not make it in football, but something that they can look back at and go, wow, what a fantastic experience that was. And there's other, whether they could be flag bearers, again, just before the match, sampling the atmosphere, things like that, to us is really important. Other things, again, depending on the availability, they'll get to meet first team players as well during the course of their time, which I think is always good. Some of our first team players, like Jermaine Defoe, world-renowned striker, he spends so much time with the kids and get a real good feel of his career and things that kids can share and take back home as well, which I think is very important. The kids will also be able to do diet nutrition workshops. They'll do sports psychology workshops as well, again, related to their age and with what our academy kids would get as well. And supplement that, because again, for kids to go and travel, I think it's important in the rest days that they are here, because typically groups will come for a period of maybe 7 days, typically. If during that point they will, they play football for the majority of it, but I think it's important that they sample some of the Scottish culture. So we will arrange day trips in which the kids, will spend the time maybe in other parts of Glasgow or further afield to Edinburgh, the capital. And again, that downtime is important too. And I suppose that brings me to the family. As I said, we look at it in 3 different areas, but and typically a lot of families will travel with our groups, and it's not always possible for families to watch the kids train at our training centre, for example. But they will get to watch the kids play football. But if they come to Scotland, they can watch their kids back home. So yes, as I said, they'll get to go and do that, but we want to make it a bit more of a holiday or vacation for them. So their time will be spent more around, travelling up and down the country. St Andrews, which is a home of golf, is always a popular one for parents. Trips to Edinburgh, Stirling, Glasgow, some scenic routes as well, and combining that with maybe going to a first team game, stadium tour. We felt that we've got some really good feedback from the families' experiences. And that, again, it means that everybody from the group, whether it's the players, the coaches, the families, they're all getting something from the experience. And probably since I've been at the club for 5 years, but from 2017 to 2019, we've seen over 80% growth in our inbound activities, which is fantastic. And again, I think, you know, good feedback, and it's positive that not only we're getting new groups, but we're getting a number of repeat groups that are coming too. They want, because they, you know, they'll tell different age groups at their respective clubs and organisations what a fantastic time they had, and ultimately they want to come back, which is great for us and our staff.
Yeah, very good, Gary. I have a question for Sam, and I'll go back to you, Gary, because I have a very important question that links up here with Sevenoaks. Sam, what are the key elements you consider when you choose which academy to program to attend to? What is the focus of Sevenoaks? What are you looking for?
Yeah, sure. So I guess firstly, sorry, I just dropped out there. We had a power cut, so I literally just lost everything. And likewise, kind of good to be on this conference, and I hope everyone's staying safe and healthy in the current climate. So yeah, I mean, we've always been a traveling club. We don't receive clubs. We're not in quite the same realm as the clubs on the rest of this call, but I guess that gives us good insight in respect of what we look for when we look to travel. So I guess really the key elements are for the players at our club, we're a good level club, but not professional. So the players really want to feel that sense of feeling special, and they want to feel like they're walking in the footsteps of their heroes. You know, of all the players they've seen grow up and play at the top clubs around Europe, in the UK, and further afield. So they really want to feel that sense of walking in those footsteps. And therefore, in the academy program in particular, you know, we're really looking for that sense of there being no sense of it being there being a divide between the two clubs. You know, effectively, we're there, and we're always looking for those clubs that kind of embrace us. And I think from the guys that have spoken already, you know, that their intention is very much to embrace the clubs that are visiting and make them feel part of the family of the club that they and the brand that they represent. I think in terms of the training and the fixtures, you know, we always look for the players to get a good sense of what the philosophy of the club is. So, you know, regardless of which club we're going to, we like them to be educated in terms of the philosophy of the club, both in terms of its football, but also off the pitch, its values and what it stands for. And then also just is terms of the sort of the preparation, the planning, which is that we don't want the experience just to be about the football. We want there to be a wider piece about, you know, going to understand the local culture, going to the local city, etc., etc. So what kind of links can we build around that academy program, both whether it's going to see a game, going to see local attractions, whatever it might be. So they're kind of key elements when we're looking to plan all of this.
Jose, all about this, we heard Atletico Madrid's experience and Benfica's and Rangers and Sevenoaks, but you Sport Ventures help operate this type of experience, because you are the one who makes the link between the two clubs or the many clubs that come to visit and experience the youth academy programs, international programs. How it works, and are you operating with just Europe or more than the old continent?
Well, we've been operating this type of experience for, our team has been operating this type of for over 10 years. I think our first trip to an academy in Sporting Lisbon, I believe we were the first team, the first agency to send a group to Sporting Academy. It was back in 2006. At that time, it was the only Portuguese club taking in groups, and it worked pretty well. And then from then on, we started establishing more and more partnerships. It's a concept that works, and not only with schools but with clubs like Sevenoaks Town, or with good clubs who want to get an experience to a professional setup and expose their players to living like a pro for a week, and some of these academies and most of the academies we have here deliver exactly that. So we've been doing this for more than 10 years. it's a fantastic project. We're now, we've been fortunate to we've been growing every year, and from a Portuguese and Spain specialist based in this corner of Europe, we're now establishing partnerships with Gary in Scotland, and Roma this year. We're going to start offering Roma, which is a fantastic city, a fantastic club, because ultimately for most of these boys are not going to be professionals. Most, I would say 99.9%. So it's about the experience, the lifetime experience they will get access to, and visiting fantastic cities, and that's why we think this is a fantastic experience, and why it's been so successful, and clubs obviously are embracing, and of course there's a financially kickback for the clubs here, but I don't think it's that. It's about branding. It's about positioning the clubs all over the world, and of course giving these boys a unique opportunity.
Thank you, Gary. Coming back to you, the clubs that visit you get new knowledge, experience your philosophy. How, like we talked with Benfica and heard their say about it. But do Rangers do a type of scouting program whilst the team are there? Do you recruit? How it works, please?
Yeah, so we have a residential program, and this is for ultimately how this program came about was a number of tour groups would come, so teams would want to come, and a lot of the parents that, you know, their kids enjoyed the experience, they asked if there was individual programs in which maybe their kids could come next year or whenever and participate themselves rather than coming across as a team. And this was becoming more and more apparent that this was, you know, a real demand to do this. So we opened this up last year, our development program, and the kids are based at the residential, so they stay overnight. Again, they're treated like a young athlete, like a young professional, and get a feel for how that is to be like a young pro. They get testing, ultimately in comparison to kids at their own age at the academy. And we've been very lucky that the standard's been very, very high. So we've actually had 3 kids from that, 1 from Canada and 2 from the Isle of Wight in England, that have been selected to train with the academy, and we'll monitor them. You know, in future they'll look to come across when everything settles down. But again, probably similar to what Jose had mentioned, that we want to cater for everybody, because ultimately not everyone's going to be a professional, and we want to assist that kid in whatever their goal is. For some kids, it's about enjoyment of playing football, that passion to be a social environment, to meet new friends. And something in our residential program, some of the nicest things that we've seen from that comes at the end of the week is that the kids then feel part of a team. So at the beginning of the week, they naturally go to the countries that they're from. So there'll be groups of kids from the UK, you know, maybe Italy, America, Canada, but then by the end of the week they're all mixing and they become friends, and they get to know each other, meeting kids from different cultures and backgrounds, and it's fantastic. And that's what we want. We want them to be more sociable and interact with each other. So that's a big part of it too for us. But again, a lot of kids, it could be getting in their high school team, it could be getting a scholarship to go to school, and then there is that small percentage that maybe are good enough to play academy level or want to pursue a career in football. But we certainly want to be flexible and give kids that experience to say that, you know what, this is something I want to pursue, or maybe that they maybe need to work a little bit harder at their game, and that's good, because we'll provide them with reports as well at the end of their week, what they were good at, strengths and areas also to go and work on too. And we hope then in the future they'll come back and we can continue to monitor them as well as when we work with our clubs too. So yeah, the residential program has been very strong for us, and it's something that we want to pursue when things get back to normal.
Thank you, Fernando. What is Benfica expecting every time they receive a new team to train with you and to learn from you? What Benfica wants to win from this?
Well, brand awareness is one of the things. So for them to have a very good experience with us, it's very important. But we are always looking for talent also, of course. We are always looking for learn something about what the group can bring us, and to even as an experience for our coaches. One thing is to work with the best players there are. Another thing is to plan a practice for kids that are not that higher level. So it's different challenges for us that also make us grow as coaches and as a staff community inside the club, because we have to adapt to different cultures, to different levels, to different ways of playing, to what the coaches also ask from us. For example, we would like you to work this or that aspect of our team. How do you work it? And then that experience that we share at the end. But by receiving these clubs or these groups or these teams, or as Gary was saying, we also run programs for individual players, so the elite training camps. So what we are expecting is for them to have for them to be the next club, Benfica club ambassadors. So they can fill the club, and they can say at the end of their experience when they leave, they have their own clubs, but they will live a bit a Benfica supporter, a bit Benfiquista. And at the same time, again, we are always on the look for talent. And that's why all of these aspects are the reason for us to run programs at our club, but also to run programs abroad, to be able to be close to the kids abroad. And we even run entire season programs abroad. So we have soccer schools, for example, in Ukraine, and they run for the entire season. And so the kids can have the experience with the Benfica methodology also in their own countries. And that way, the brand will reach more kids, more countries, and we also reach more kids and more enables us to find talent also.
Thank you. Sam, Fernando said very strong things. He almost said a very strong word, but in his speech was there is culture. So they want the kids to live the culture, not just the club, mainly the club, but the country too, so they can feel a bit when they go away that sense of culture. Is that important for you, or just focusing on training aspects and coaching?
Yeah, I think it's dual pronged. I think with all these trips, it's a combination of the football and what's beyond the football. I'll be honest with you, when we've planned, we've always had high quality teams. So the football has definitely been always a big focus for us. So I'd say if I was to kind of define it quantitatively, it would be kind of 75% more on the football emphasis, and then 25% more on the city cultural kind of surrounding part to the package. I think with the football element, as I said, I think I certainly as a coach have always kind of loved technical coaching. So, I'm very lucky to the clubs that we've visited so far that, the coaches, they deliver high quality sessions, and they're, it's a simple thing, but their grasp of the language is good. And, they're able to make the players feel welcome in the sessions and make them, as I said, give them that kind of buzz of making them feel like they're at one of the, their hero clubs in the UK or in Europe. We have done the majority of our tours to Spain, Portugal. So again, kind of, being embraced within that culture of kind of, where some of their the biggest clubs in Europe are based in, and these kids watch them in the Champions League and seeing all these mega players, to literally walking in the same, trails that these pros are walking on just makes them feel special. And walking down the same corridors in the academy training complexes, even if they're in a separate building, it still makes them feel like they've got that air of speciality. In terms of what surrounds the trip, I'm a big believer that these trips, as Jose said, 0.0001% make it to be a professional footballer. So therefore, really, as much as football is the emphasis, what we want these trips to create is lifelong memories. And my father, who was one of the first to work with Jose back in 2011, I think it was now 2010, 2011. We've said for years together that these are about lifelong memories. And for our players, we've got players that are now 25, 26, and they're still talking about their trips that they had when they were 14, 15, with Jose and his team's kind of organization as kind of their, some of their best memories to date in their life. And certainly some of their best memories on a football pitch or in a football environment. So it's a fine balance between the two. I think for us, football has always been an emphasis, but at the end of the day, the end goal is lifelong memories, and whatever creates that special combination of stadium tours, going to watch a game, playing the academy, training with the academy coaches, that combination really goes a long way to creating that lifelong memory.
Thank you. Adolfo, we heard that the kids go from the locker rooms and see the corridors that great players pass through. What your Athletic Madrid new stadium has all that kind of feeling. What do you expect to deliver to these teams that come to visit you? What can you offer to them, and what do you expect to win from it?
What we like to offer, we expect to offer to every team, to every coach, every player that comes, is to feel like an Atletico player. We do not save anything, every type of information, any type of knowledge, we always try to deliver. We try to make each player feel like an Atletico player. As I say at the beginning, we follow the same methodology. If our academy teams train 90 minutes and we divide it in 3 blocks, the international team will train 90 minutes divided in 3 blocks, will be exactly the same. Because following what Fernando said, our objective is to make these players to feel and experience, and as Sam said, create a memory that we'll never forget. And our last goal is to have an Atletico supporter, because most likely this player that will come will not become a player of the first team, or they will not become a direct someone who impacts you. So if we can have a fan or a supporter who's living in the US or in Portugal, for me it will be a success, because even though in our academy we have 82 teams, that's over 1,200 players, not all of them make it to the first team. So we have the internal responsibility to give the tools to these academy players to become the next coach, the next lawyer, the next, for example, me. So with these international players, we are not going to treat them different. Even though we just have them for a period short of time, 1 week, even 1 day, we try to give it all to make those memories be unforgettable. So what we do in Atletico Madrid is we try to implement everything that we do in the academy, try to implement it with international teams, understanding there are some differences or circumstances, but we try not to hold anything.
Well, and from your experience, what do the Athletic Madrid coaches have fun with talking with these coaches that come from outside of the club and so on?
What I have found talking to the coaches, because I'm usually at the fields when the international teams train, is that my coaches, they find it as a new tool to learn, because as the way they're telling me, it's very different to train an Atletico Madrid team than train a team from Venezuela, from Panama, from Japan. Not just the kids, they behave differently, the way they've been learning football is different, how they see it. So allows my coach to have a broader view of what is football, how to teach, because at the end, that's what it's a coach. A coach is someone who's going to teach tools, not just inside the field, but outside the field. So that's the main benefit I have seen. And when the coaches talk directly with other coaches, they found that they both want the same goal, but they took different paths, either because of the ideology of the club or the country. So having this mix or having this exchange of ideas, experience, is a personal growth, not just for the players or the coach international that comes, or even for my own coaches, because as I said, my own coach, for example, my U15 coach, it's regularly training high-level players and Atletico Madrid players, someone who's playing for the national team, someone who's aiming to be a professional player. So that's a profile. But when I put him to train at lower level team, someone who come more for a leisure purpose than a professional purpose, his perspective kind of change and remind him of what is the important, make the player or the person feel good, to train, to have fun, and at the end try to be a better person, because not everybody's going to be a football players, but at the end we all are going to be persons, people. So let's be the best possible that we can.
Many thanks. It was very important, this last part. Jose, what other service can Sports Ventures offer to the teams that book experiences with you? What is the universe of Sports Ventures offerings?
Well, like it's been said here, these experiences go way beyond football, and we come in with the logistics side of the experience like this, which is especially when you're dealing with young kids, very important. So not only we focus on the football side of it and making sure we're liaising with the clubs that they have the program that they meet their goals in terms of training sessions, what they expire, and but also on the downside, on the downtime when they're not playing or training, where we have to make sure that they are busy with their kids. So the way to keep them out of trouble is making sure they're busy and doing and visiting the city. And so we provide not only the additional services with organizing excursion, cultural, historical sites, but obviously we provide a lot of assistance booking international flights. It can be a tricky and difficult process, especially when you're dealing with a large group. So we take that as of the coach or the team manager, finding the appropriate travel insurance, especially after this pandemic. I think it's going to be a big item in the list for traveling teams, and what inclusion they have. And of course, we always like, and this is something we've always implemented in our crews, we always have 24/7 a crew manager with the groups to make sure that the crew runs as smooth as possible. So sometimes it might not be needed, but you never know. So we don't get covered. We always give 100% full-time assistance with our groups wherever they go. And of course, one of the highlights of any tour is playing games. And we arrange one of the biggest tasks is arranging games with local teams and matching the level of the appropriate level is never an easy task. So we pride ourselves in over these years never letting down any team with games. So we pride ourselves in organizing games as much as possible to the appropriate level and finding super top good facilities to play, and of course using always appointed official referees. So it's a sports travel agency. A lot of travel agencies are dying because of the internet, but this is much more than selling a hotel room. We sell on multiple services that it's difficult for the internet to replicate this in the internet. So we're a very important part of the process for assisting clubs to make sure they have a fine tour.
Sam, when you go and pick like Atletico Madrid or Sporting Benfica Rangers Academy to go and experience their life, it's important to have a specialized sports travel agency like Sports Ventures to be on your shoulder to help you do stuff and to organize everything.
Critical in as short as time as possible. Yeah, I mean, look, from my perspective, I'm a coach, and I don't know how it works for the majority of people on this webinar, but you know, first and foremost, I'm a voluntary coach that gives up my time to help kids get you know, sport and you know, improve their life skills through sport. As we've all discussed, you know, kind of the wider implications of people creating connections through sport, but then also develop their technical skills on the pitch. So my main priority is to really continue to focus on that element. You know, my speciality, and again, I'm imagining the majority of people on this call, my speciality is to not organize international trips for you know, tens and tens of children, and in some cases their parents. In fact, my specialities couldn't be further from that. So, you know, really having worked with Jose and his team at Sports Ventures, but, you know, in a broader sense, you know, a sports travel agency, you need someone that can bring together the relevant parties, that can put together the different iterations of the itinerary, that can, you know, come up with all the local offerings in terms of knowing in each city and each location that you're going to travel that there's certain things that are recommended. You know, they'll even know all the local knowledge about, you know, the best ways to get there, and the best restaurants to visit close to the ground, and all this kind of stuff. So, you know, it's absolutely critical from the conception of the trip through to execution. Once you go, you know, again, certainly the way that Jose and his team at Sports Ventures work is they kind of give you one representative to follow you on the trip throughout. They stay with you, they eat with you, they drink with you, and they're there really to coordinate the entire trip. You know, if you need to be on pitch 4 at 12 o'clock, you're there at 11:50. You know, if you need to be on the bus to go to the stadium for the game, you're there on time. And it really allows me as a coach to focus on managing my players, you know, continuing to build their skills in terms of, you know, all the simple things about being in the right place at the right time and having the right kit on, and you know, making sure they warm up for their training session in the correct way. So it really kind of allows me to focus on the thing that I do my job for. It's, you know, it's kind of what I do it to get the enjoyment that I get from it. So yeah, absolutely critical, all the way through from creation to communication to execution as well.
Gary, we heard about Sam that Sports Ventures is important to have on their side to help with the schedules and everything. So coach like him can experience also how a club works. Rangers give that type of experience also to coaches. They will do coaching programs, talk with them to deliver specific programs to the managers and coaches.
Yeah, so we offer a number of options for coaches that are interested in that element to go and develop their own skills. So we've actually recently launched our online academy. So coaches will be able to sign up to individual packages or for their club, in which they'll be able to get our methodology. So they'll be able to get session plans. They'll also be able to see film sessions as well, because obviously to see it, you know, visually how that session is articulated and done is so much more powerful. You know, clubs will also be able to use the actual document or the database as something that they can build as a club as well, and they develop their own sessions and communicate through that as well. So we've had a number of coaches and clubs already sign up to the package and inquire as well, which has been fantastic response during this time. And that also helps us bridge the gap in terms of, because we can only physically be in contact probably with clubs maybe 1 week, 2 weeks throughout a year. So the rest of the year, what are we doing? And it's also a nice follow-up, because we're able then to see what the clubs are working on and what the kids are doing, so we can maybe see the development, what things are going well, what things that we maybe need to improve on from both players and coaches' perspective. And it means, rather than just doing a generic session when we're going across working with teams, or when teams coming across, we actually know where they're at in their development. So that's something that, as I say, we see moving forward is a critical part of our programme. But when groups do come across in tours, there is the opportunity in which coaches can come and see what we do. So from the boys and girls side, Again, that can be up to the coaches. They might have certain age groups that they want to look at. So we'll look at the schedule of those teams that they want to look at during the course of the week. So there could be watching training sessions, it might be games. They'll also be able to look at, as I said, go into the classroom and do some theory sessions with the coaches. One thing that, as opposed from an international program, we're very lucky. Our head of academy opens the doors, and the other staff members are so welcoming. They'll spend time with the coaches. They'll ask them about their own program and share ideas, and that's what it's about. I think from my own perspective and my own coaching pathway, some of the best coach education I've had is when I went to go and visit clubs and spend time with them. The coaching, getting your badges and the licenses is great, but to actually go and see what clubs do and how they work with the kids and interact, but also speaking to the coaches and take the best bits of that and add that to your coaching dossier is huge, and it's really powerful. So the coaches will be able to go and do that during their time, but we're also looking at coach education trips as well. So we're hoping before obviously the virus took place was to in association with the Scottish Football Association to run coaching licenses. So the UEFA C license is going to come into play, so that it would allow the coaches during the course of their stay to spend half their time at our academy, looking at from all the age groups, all the way up from U8, all the way up to reserve level, as well as then go and get some coaching qualifications on the back of that as well. So again, lots of learning opportunities, interacting, seeing different age groups, and as well as getting a license on the back of that too. And again, another initiative that we're looking to offer is actually hold a seminar when it's suitable for staff, for a number of coaches that will be invited to come over, and again get a real overview of what we're doing at the academy from top to bottom, but also the medical department, sports science, diet, nutrition, strength and conditioning program, the technical staff. Go and watch games, see what the guys do on the pitch, but also be involved in practical sessions as well. So that's something that we'll probably look to roll out in 2021. But again, coach education is certainly a big, massive part. I'm sure the guys will agree with me on that as well, that it's not only the players that want to develop and learn, it's also the coaches. And we're getting asked all the time, how do you motivate kids? What do you feed them at certain ages? How do you make a kid better technically? What, types of sessions that you do? So again, coach education is more and more in demand. And we found that that's certainly been something that's, or it's something that we'll certainly look to expand as time progresses.
Thanks. Fernando, we heard about Rangers plan how they work and what they offer for coaches. Benfica in the future is expecting to improve and to give more stuff in the international programs and more options and so on.
Yeah, of course, we are always looking into this to new things, to develop new things, and most of all, we are always looking for ways to make the programs that we already run more immersive, so that either a player or a coach, or even programs abroad where we place Benfica coaches throughout the season in Egypt or in China, working with some local associations or wherever. We try to arrange tools, to arrange whatever it is on our reach, to make those experiences the more immersive as possible. And by immersive, I mean having the feeling of being Benfiquista, feeling the club, knowing, visit the facilities, talking with the persons, but also about the methodology, ways for us to reach the kids more and more and more, for them to have a practice session as closest as possible to the ones we do with our top players, so we can be as truthful as possible to the kids, because at the end of the day, our main obligation is to them in different levels, but the kids are giving their dreams to us. They are showing what they want to be when they will when they grow up, and we have to respect those dreams. Even the dream of that kid that when you look at him, you see, well, he's not going to, or it's very difficult for him to become a pro player or a player, but his dream is as real or sometimes even more real than the dreams of the players that we have inside our academy. So we have to respect that. And in that way, we want to be as truthful as possible with everybody that contacts with us. And we are always looking for new things to be able to do that. For example, we are looking on having a international school inside our facilities so it will be possible for kids to spend the entire season with us, having their academic path also guaranteed. We are looking for, and we have projects to be able to create small Benfica academies abroad in countries and with partners that are willing to work with us. So in all these areas, we are trying to be innovative also.
Thank you. We'll end with we're almost at the end of our webinar. Before I go back to all of you, Jose, important question because it's on the mind of everybody nowadays. How important is the health and safety of a football academy experience when you are implementing a program?
I would say it's the number one on the list, and so we always especially when we're dealing with young players, it's health and safety is paramount. So we don't get corners there, and we always make sure that our suppliers, not only hotels, transportation companies, all the group activities, adventure activity companies, we always make sure that the paperwork is in order. We always inspect them and make sure that they are fully qualified and in the right conditions to operate. So that's one of the key issues in our list, if not the first. And then we even invite during the booking process coaches and teachers and for the pre-inspection visits, so they can get acquainted personally with the hotels that they'll be using, with the transportation companies. Sometimes we even visit the transportation company to see the vehicles they'll be using, that making sure they have seat belts, etc. So that's one of the main issues, obviously, when we're dealing with young kids.
To finish quickly in 4 minutes, what is a key word that you focus on in these international training programs? I'll start with Sam. What's the key word for you?
Memories.
Oh, that's Gary?
In terms of, I think ultimately, we want to give them an overall experience. I think guys touched upon it briefly, was that, you know, they come away feeling as if Rangers become their second club. They start to look for the results. The parents, we want them to feel part of the family. You know, when they come, that they've experienced that culture, what it's like to be at the football club, the passion at the games, the staff making them feel so welcome, from the hotel, the stadium tour guide. We ultimately want to give them that experience. So whether that's in a football environment or if that's in a cultural environment, we want them to get a feel for the country too, and have an amazing experience that whether they make it or not, that they can look back and go, wow, what a fantastic time we had in Glasgow. Or maybe that was a catalyst for them then to springboard and progress in their career too. So yeah, we want them to have memories that they'll look back and have, you know, their time in Scotland and look back fondly.
Rodolfo.
I will go exactly as Gary, as in the word experience, because as I told you guys, our programs are called Players Experience, Coaches Experience, and Online Coaches Experience. Our main objective is to make these people, either as a kid, a player, or a coach, to feel as an Atletico de Madrid, even though it will be 1 day, 1 week, 1 month, for the period of time they will be with us. We want them to feel as one of us, because they actually are. They will be training with us, we'll be training in our facilities, with our coaches, playing with our teams. They will be part of our family, and that we want to inculcate and want to transmit our values so they can take that home and grow as a person. So the best way to describe it as a broader word will be experience.
Fernando, is the word experience going to do a hat trick, or we're going to deliver this and another one?
No, I'm going to keep with immersive. Okay, we have a word that we use a lot at the club, mística, which it's kind of difficult to translate, but if you translate it to the letter, is mystic. So I think that's what we want, is for them to leave the club Benfiquistas. They feel the club's mystique, and they go out with that feeling they were here 100% for us, and we really enjoyed it. So to create those memories Sam was talking about, and hopefully we were able to create them when he was with us.
Thank you. And Jose, a key word for Sports Ventures.
Well, for this type of experience, I would say dreams. It's about living the dream, and some of these kids think about football of 24 hours a day. So it's about giving them the to having a dream come true, to experience some of these world-class football clubs. It's an amazing experience. So dreams for me.
Thank you. Well, I thank you all for coming today to our webinar about training with the pros. To all who listen here on Zoom or in YouTube or in Facebook, you can search a bit about the international programs in the websites from each of these clubs, but you can also, and you should, go for Sports Ventures to help you schedule an international program with Rangers or Benfica or Atletico Madrid that are big international programs and very good at it. You heard from Sam Landale, from Fernando Pinto, Gary Crooks, Adolfo Guerrero, and Jose Moraes, who's the CEO for Sports Ventures. Thank you all. Stay safe and hope that everything comes back to normal in the following weeks, months, because the kids want to play football again and live memories and dreams and good experiences. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Take care. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Take care, guys.